Hi everyone, my name is Peter and welcome back to the workshop. Now this morning I had to manufacture 15 of these small little 10mm components, and when I got close to the end of operation 1, I thought I still have these components glued to my spoiler board. It might be interesting to share with you how I approach a job like this. Now this is very relevant when you are machining small components. You have them nested very closely together. You're using a single piece of stock and you're using the tape and glue method to hold your stock, your components down. Now if you think back in the past, we identified heat as the enemy for the glue, and we've identified moisture, your lubricant or your coolant, as the enemy for your tape. Now what happens with the tape, it absorbs the coolant or the lubricant, it becomes all soggy, and by the time you machine your small little component, it starts to move and you can then throw this component away. Now with that in mind, when I programmed the profiles in Fusion 360, I selected these profiles in a very specific order, and I also ticked for Fusion 360 to preserve that order. Now I selected that first, second, third, fourth. That was not the exact order, but I think you're getting what I'm trying to say. The reason for that is I started here. I will heat up this component when it's machining, or do a ramp down on this component. And if you move to this component second to machine second, you already have the heat from here. This component will start to overheat. Chances are you will already have a failure on this one, but by the time you get to the third component, you'll most certainly have a glue failure. So that's why I would go as far away from where I just cut, which was the case here. So by the time I get close to that again, the stock in that area would be warm to the touch, but it will be well within what the glue can handle. Now this is not so much an issue with thin stock. I would say from 10mm, 15, 20, 25 it becomes an issue with thinner stock. It's not so much of a problem, but you always have to, I say rather safe than sorry. For this operation I used a 6mm single flute, and where I would normally ramp down at 0.8 to 1mm, I dialed it back to 0.5 mm. I just sped up my feed rate a little bit. When you machine smaller components like this, you have to think a little bit differently. Bigger parts, bigger components, you don't have the same issue because it have a big surface area. You have a lot of glue. You have the actual lubricant or your coolant is not going to have an effect on a big component. So you just have to think a little bit differently when you machine small components. Just approach a little bit differently. In any case, so I finished then with a 4mm tool for the spring cut, and what you see here is how it finished the job. Everything is still attached. I had no failures, so I'm very happy. At the end of this video, I have a time lapse of when I did this, so then you'll see how this was done. I really hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.